Good evening, and welcome to another session of Health is Wealth, brought to you by the Chicago chapter of the National Black Nurses Association. We meet on the second Saturday of the month from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Lutheran School of Theology, 1100 East 55th Street. Our phone number is 773-792-7222. Thanks for joining us today. Today we have with us Patricia Banks, presiding judge of the Elder Law Division. And I'm going to ask Judge Banks to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay. First of all, good afternoon or evening probably now. I am the presiding judge of a new division of the Circuit Court. And the name of that division is the Elder Law and Miscellaneous Remedies Division. And it's been in existence 4 years. It is the newest division of our court. We have 16 divisions and over 430 judges.
Okay.
So this division is a little different because we deal with seniors.
Okay.
And seniors in with our definition are persons over the age of 60.
Okay.
And so with that division, which I've led and created, thanks to Judge Timothy C. Evans, who appointed me as a presiding judge.
Wonderful man.
He is. He certainly is. But this division was started in order to sort of deal with the unmet needs of seniors in the courthouse. Our system is fairly massive, and it's kind of hard for seniors to navigate the court system without a little help. So what we created, with the help of a lot of different organizations, and I just name a few: Area Agency on Aging, the Public Guardian's Office, some elder law practitioners, even the Chicago Police Department was involved. We had law enforcement, the Sheriff's Department. Let's see, I mentioned the Public Guardian, the State's Attorney, and a couple of law schools. So the thought was to put together a division that would deal with issues that seniors have. They're the same issues as, but more so because seniors have impairments.
Okay.
You know, there may be a visual impairment, there may be a hearing impairment, there might be some medication issues, which you might be familiar with.
Yes.
And so we put the division together. We have 8 judges now in the division, and we have something that I like to talk about a lot, and that is the Cook County Elder Justice Center.
Okay.
It supports the elder protection courts.
Okay. All right. And exactly what do they do in the elder protection courts? Do you help people deal with their children that are taking their money? Those kind of issues?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Okay.
This court presides over cases involving abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation of seniors. And a lot of this abuse, neglect, and exploitation is at the hands of family members. Family members, we've learned, and statistics prove out, abuse older family members. It's sometimes it's not thought of as abuse, but we try to, in our within my division, teach, and we're training the judges, the community, and lawyers, just everyone involved in the agent network. We try to tell them and show them what the signs, symptoms are of abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation.
Okay. Because I know sometimes people think that abuse is just being hit.
It's more than that.
It's way more than that.
It's way more than that. It's emotional. It's sexual. It's their mental abuse. There's isolation, a lack of socialization, just keeping a loved one, well, not necessarily a loved one, but if a senior is denied the opportunity by a younger son, nephew, grandson, from going out and talking on the telephone, if a senior is being badgered by a grandson or a granddaughter or a daughter or a son for that matter, for $2 every day, all day, if that person is a senior again, is not allowed to go outside, not allowed to just the quality of life
Mm-hmm.
is impeded.
Well, I know I find a lot of seniors who are denied medication,
Exactly.
who are denied food, you know.
Exactly, and then you find them lying in their own waste,
Mhm.
and so a lot of seniors, the older ones, might be incontinent as to bladder and bowels, and
Mhm.
they're not cared for appropriately, and so that's called neglect.
Yes.
And when the senior decides to not take care of him or herself, then it's called self-neglect. So we now, in our court,
Mhm.
if in fact a church member or a neighbor or someone else notice that a senior hasn't come out, or that senior is acting a little peculiar, or if a bank even notices
Mhm.
that the monies are being taken out at a greater rate, okay?
Mhm.
More money is, say for example, a caregiver or a family member might gain access to a senior's finances,
Mhm.
and the first thing that happens is there's a trip to the bank. The banks are now trained to kind of keep an eye on that, and so they
Mhm.
notice that a senior who normally, like for example my mother, who might withdraw $10 or $50 at a time,
Mhm.
that same senior, my mother, would start coming in, taking out 200, 500,
Mhm.
or making $5,000 checks,
Mhm.
then the bank will alert someone in our system,
Okay.
and someone might come into court to freeze the account.
Is that automatic that that a bank would notify somebody in your system?
Not automatically, but
Mhm.
there was legislation over probably 4 or 5 years ago, if not a little longer, whereby banks were really asked to become mandatory reporters.
Mhm.
When a senior would come in, or just a regular customer or a long-term customer, if the withdrawal patterns became irregular,
Mhm.
then there was a move afoot
Mhm.
for some of our state legislatures wanted a law
Mhm.
requiring the banks to report that. It's called a mandatory reporter.
Okay.
We have a lot of mandatory reporters. You,
Right.
as a
I
nurse,
am.
you're a
I am
mandatory
one.
reporter. Banks didn't want to become mandatory reporters, but the legislation that's out there now does require banks to train its tellers
Okay.
and its bank officials to report financial exploitation. And so it's more difficult now for a senior to be financially exploited within a bank.
Okay. So we have a caller.
Okay.
Yes, good afternoon, ladies. How you doing?
Good.
I just have a quick question to ask. You know, since the late 80s and the early 90s, they have now so many home health agencies now. The question I like to ask, what is done to the agencies and the givers that neglect is being done? They just there to collect money. Is any agency is over this to keep tab on these home health agencies and the caregivers? And what is done when they see that they're not doing their job? Do you quite understand what I'm asking you?
I understand what you're
Yes.
asking.
Okay, let me
Okay.
get out the air. Thank you for taking the call. I'd like to hear your response.
Okay. Thanks for the call.
Well, there's two area agencies on aging in the Chicago area. There's one for the county, and there's one for the city. These two agencies actually monitor and supervise the home health agencies. And therefore, when a home health worker comes out to a senior's home, and abuse and neglect is noted, that either the supervisor of that agency is supposed to come around and supervise and look into the situation, or there is a supervisor from the area agency on aging that is supposed to monitor that. It doesn't always work out, exactly that way, but there are people who supervise the workers.
But what if a senior is intimidated by their home health workers, and that happens a lot?
I understand that is the responsibility of the of a family member. See, family members have to not, you can't drop out. You have to always be aware of. I know there's a lot of times there aren't family members involved, but a lot of times that senior is attached to someone. There are not that many friendless. I think the word is a friendless senior.
Okay.
That's someone with no one.
Okay.
But you have either a church member or someone, a distant relative, or someone that should be looking in on this senior. You know, the court can't just go into someone's home. The court, it has to be brought to my attention.
Okay.
And once that petition is filed, then I can do something about it.
Okay.
Can't do anything about it until it's brought to my attention. But that's why even now we have police officers, law enforcement has the responsibility of checking on seniors. There are special senior units for that purpose within the Chicago Police Department. You also have, again, I have to look to these community-based organizations that have programs to monitor the activities of those persons who would want to neglect or financially exploit a senior.
But so many of those programs are closed now with the state budget, you know.
That's tragic. So that's why, and that is kind of tragic. So that's why there's there are a number of organizations, especially the faith-based organizations, are trying to fill that gap because that void has to be filled by someone. And I don't know whether or not it's by design or what, but if in fact the budget continues to be kind of out there unresolved, we're going to have to bring in more community types to look out for our seniors. That's why we have the Cook County Elder Justice Center. If, say, one citizen notices that a senior has is abused, neglected, or financial exploited, that call should be made to that hotline that for elder abuse, or call the center. The center has a number of, it's right there on the screen. No, it's not on the screen. The telephone number for the Cook County Elder Justice Center is 312-603-9233. That is a part of the Elder Law Division. And that division has within it programs where you have free legal services, free education. In other words, any senior or a caregiver or an interested party are able to come down to the center between the hours of 9 and 4 daily to talk about, you know, what's going on or any kind of concerns that might be that senior might have for himself or his well-being. Or if it's a caregiver, come down and talk about it.
And where exactly is the Elder Justice Center?
It's located right in the courthouse. Which is very unique because we have a Cook County Elder Justice Center located in the Richard J. Daley Center, located at 50 West Washington, right on the corner of Randolph and Dearborn. Come down the escalators and there's a big sign, and that sign invites you to come in. It's the Cook County Elder Justice Center. And there you have a free legal clinic. You have services like we have the court tours, we have the free legal clinic, we have seminars every 2 weeks, we have information on benefits. You can do a benefit checkup in terms of, there are a lot of benefits that are available to older adults. They don't know about it. We have a social worker that will help them. We have a very comprehensive directory that will provide this type of information.
And is that the only place where those services are available? Downtown? Are there any neighborhood locations?
We do not have neighborhood locations because we're just getting started. And the budget is tight all over. So what we do is we try to service close to 5,300 seniors per month. And again, it's you walk in or you schedule an appointment by calling that number I just gave you, 312-603-9233.
All right. What about volunteers? Do you all need volunteers? How are you staffed?
We are staffed sparsely, but the good news is we have so many volunteers, especially legal volunteers, that are willing to give their time, either 3 hours in the morning or 3 hours in the afternoon daily, to provide services to our seniors. We also, what we like to recruit other volunteers. That's a constant. Basically objective.
Okay.
Whenever we go out, just like today, as I'm sitting here, we need volunteers. We like for you to call the same number, and if you have an interest in volunteering with the Elder Justice Center, because we need volunteer social workers. We love to have some volunteer nurses. We like to have, we have retired school principals.
Okay.
People basically like to give back, I noticed. And over the last 3 years since this center has been operating, we've gotten a lot of people who come into our center and offer to volunteer. And again, we're only requesting 3 or 4 hours once a week. Or if you can't come once a week, then come every other week. There's training before you begin to volunteer.
Okay.
My actual staff in the Elder Justice Center basically is comprised of 2 or 3 people, but the rest of the folk down there, including the lawyers, are volunteers.
Okay, but can John Q. Citizen come in and volunteer? Do you need special,
I have John Q.
special
Citizen.
skills? You need special
No, you do not
skills.
need special
Okay.
skills, because what we need volunteers for are as follows. We have something called a Senior Peer Counselors Program. That program is for seniors that are 55 and over.
Okay.
And what we do is we take them through a free 10-session training. And that training teaches senior peer counselor, potential applicant, how to listen. You know, we have classes on listening. We have classes on counseling. We have classes on grief and loss.
Okay.
Classes on legal terminology. Because so many times when a senior walks out of a courtroom, the senior might walk out without taking the order that the judge has entered. The senior might get a summons and not know what to do with that summons.
Okay.
The senior might be told by the judge to go to a certain place, don't know how to get there. So they're walking around the courthouse, forever. So we have these senior peer counselors. You may volunteer to become a senior peer counselor after training.
Okay.
So we accept, that's acceptable. But we have nurses, and we have, as I said, retired school teachers. We have people who used to be with corporations. We have folks who are just plain Joe Blow, worked for CTA and whatever other job. We want just people who have a desire to work with older adults. There's a special, you take a special person with a lot of patience and a lot of compassion for seniors to do that. So if you're not into patience, if you don't want to hear someone repeat themselves 2 or 3 times, you're not the right.
You.
Yeah, it's not you.
Not the job for you. Okay.
Not a good fit, they call it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, what else do you want us to know about the Elder Justice Center?
Well, I'd like you to know that we also have these wonderful seminars, and these seminars are on identity theft, scams. We had a great seminar on substance abuse just within the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
And call the number, and you can, or either go online, but call the number if you can't go online. And we will give you the names of seminars through the end of the year. Those seminars are on financial literacy. We have, we just had one on debt collection. We have another one coming up on I talked about the bankruptcy. We even talk about pre-burial plans.
Okay.
We talk
That's important.
Right.
That's important.
Gotta get your burial plans together, because so many times, even as a private practitioner, when I was in private practice, you find at the end of a beautiful life that there's no money in the bank, there's no provisions for your burial, and you have not had that conversation with your children or your someone that you're close to about what to do just in case.
Okay. So, time really flies.
It does fly.
But let me ask you this. How important is it to have advance directives?
Oh, very important. And we have several sessions during the course of our senior enrichment seminar program on that. It's important for you to have advance directives. Important for several reasons. If you're an older person and you have several children, you need to sort of set out in concrete, in writing, who you want to be in charge.
Okay.
That's important because it's very frustrating and it's overwhelming when you get to that point where you are seriously ill, okay, and you have all these different family members with different thoughts about what should happen to you.
Okay.
Don't you want to make that decision yourself?
Yes.
So you need that advance directive. If you're in the hospital, the doctors need to know about it if you haven't told someone else. So the doctors, you don't want a doctor who's almost a stranger to you making that decision. So it's very important.
Okay. So we're going to show your overhead and your phone number one last time.
I'm Judge Patricia Banks, and I'm the presiding judge of the Elder Law Division. And I want to talk to you today. I want to share with you, as I have, thank you so much, information about that wonderful new program of the Circuit Court, the Elder Justice Center.
All right. Well, thank you for coming. We'd
you.
love to have you come back again. All right. Thank you.
I'd love to be invited back, so thank you for the invitation.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for watching Health is Wealth with the Chicago Chapter National Black Nurses.